around structuring, and it's structuring of trusts, holding companies, in order to maximize tax efficiency. And I think the second portion of this particular scenario question refers to the structuring of a company or a trust for a married couple to invest in rental properties. Bruno, what advice can we provide here?
So trying to keep it very short, because this is quite a long, like a long answer. But a person, in order to structure your estate, what you're going to do in your strategy plays a really big role, right? So if you only own one property and you're only ever going to own one property, the approach is going to be very different to someone that is planning on owning multiple properties. So there is no one size fits all, no matter what people tell you. The reason for this is the larger your estate, the more estate planning you're going to need. If your estate is of a lower amount, let's say under 3.5 million, you've got less worries. Things like estate duty won't affect you as much as someone with a 10 million rand estate that has to pay 20% estate duty when they pass away. So to answer the question on one specific property, married couple, where should they place it? I mean, if they're married and they're going to live on the property, for example, they should probably have it in their personal names. Not a bad idea, because they get a capital gains exemption of 2 million rand if they sell it later. If it's a rental property, they can choose. It really depends. If they want to hold it for their kids and they want the income to come in and they want to use the income and kind of ring fence it for future and for their kids' studies and things like that, having a trust is always a nice idea. But then you just need to weigh the admin cost of a monthly admin cost of a trust versus, for example, the cost in 50 years' time when you pass away and it needs to be moved to their name. And you can do little basic estimations. But again, it goes back down to, if this isn't going to be your only rental property and now you start going 2, 3, 4, 5, very different story. Then I would say that at minimum, you'd probably need some underpinning trust. We do several trusts sometimes for property investors, depending on their specific needs and how they're going to use it. The fact that they're married, it doesn't really make that much of an impact at the moment, because either way, so it depends how they're married. If they're married in a community of property, I'd probably already try change that, because that is not a good idea. But if they're married with accrual, for example, they're going to share in the growth of their estate. If they're married out of community of property, be careful, because just bear in mind, when you put stuff in a trust, you're handing it over and you're giving ownership of it away. And if you and your wife are both trustees and beneficiaries, it means that all those things that you kept for yourself and you wanted to keep out of the marriage, you're now kind of throwing into a pot that's going to be shared amongst everyone. So don't expect on a divorce to now all of a sudden get it all back, because that's not how it's going to work. So just be careful there in situations like that. Don't just throw things into a trust. Have the trust act like you were accrual at best. And everything else keep separate, because you wanted it separate to begin with.